Mother's Day as a response to one of those. And so we've not heard back yet, but we're doing that. So anyway, so you've got this, you can see what we're doing ongoingly, and then on the back is what was completed, already checked off. Okay. You want to talk about social media?
Sure. Social media, we mentioned doing contests, and so we actually just ran one for a $25 gift certificate for Peace and Harmony, and that actually went really well. The question, we'll see if you know it or maybe you already saw it on Facebook. Since its founding in 2014, this delicious eatery on East Catawba Street has earned accolades as well as visitors from near and far. Which of these achievements has Peace and Harmony recently received? And it is a 2017 Trip Advisor Certificate of Excellence. The same from 2018, Yelp Charlotte's Top 100 Places to Eat, or all of the above?
Yes.
Peace and Harmony. It says right on our thing.
It's on the agenda?
It's on the agenda. It says Peace and Harmony and has all those things you just said underneath it.
Right, but
But what's the answer?
What's the answer?
Oh, it's not Peace and Harmony? Isn't that the question?
It's all
Well, it is, but which has Peace and Harmony won?
It's gotta be all of
Oh,
it. All of the
okay.
above.
I thought they won them all. All of the above.
There you go.
You can see my reading comprehension.
Well, and the response rate was great. And so what we do is we ask people to answer the question in addition to sharing it for an extra opportunity, which gets the Visit Belmont name spread in addition to the post itself. The reach was like about 16,000. And then it increased our Facebook likes by about 197% in 1 week's span. We only run these contests for 1 week. The exact day we start, then 1 week later, we pull the winner. So it was a really great response. This has been the best contest thus far. And so in April, we are doing the same kind of contest for Muddy River, and it's 2 shot glasses, 2 t-shirts, and 2 tour tickets for whoever wins.
Is the answer A?
So, yeah, read the question, and then, does anybody else want to throw it in the hat, or? The answer is not A, so that's why we're asking. You, sir, have lost.
It's D.
It is also not D.
It's C.
It is not C. The answer is C. So they don't make gold Carolina rum, but they make all of the others, and all need to go in Tour Muddy River.
I've had the coconut and the spice.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But they do the silver and
I misread the question.
I do not know the difference.
Well, that's what
you.
I don't know.
So we'll be running that within the next week or so, and we'll see what the response to that is. It'll be cool.
Yeah, and we thought, Jim, would you be willing to do 2 tickets for Grandiflora?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
So that'll be great. We can do that contest right around opening day to help promote the garden and that exhibit.
Okay, great.
We've also collected so far some others. Old Stone Steakhouse has given us a gift certificate. Peace and Harmony, we asked them for 1, they gave us 2. And from the response they got from the last one, that was even before they got the response.
Does Peace and Harmony know the kind of response they got?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
They responded with little gifts and everything, with excitement.
Okay, great.
It's been good.
They are really good.
Yeah.
They're delicious.
That's good barbecue.
I had their salad the other day, and it was delicious. And then Catawba Antique Mall has also given us a gift certificate. So if you know of anyone who you think would give us a gift certificate, that'd be great. We've got enough to last us through, summer. They're coming up in the fall. Let us know. Next is the calendar. So we've got two different things that are different this year. Garibaldi Festival has gotten moved to April. So it's always historically been in June, but this year it's been moved to April. And so we had done the rack card that was supposed to go through April, but now we're going to add this one in. And then the other thing that is an art walk, which is a new thing, so May 2nd through 4th. I put in your packets this is the special events through September what we've gotten. So this is starting today, April, so the next event is April the 13th this weekend. And so with Earth Fest, and blue are the things that happened last year, but they're not confirmed yet, but all the things in black have been confirmed. So in case you want to know what's going on, this is a more detailed list. There's a link to this on the website, but that's just to keep you updated. We did this. Have you seen this, our January through April rack card? So Phil has been doing a great job of distributing these to downtown merchants. And he said the response has been really great to these. And so we put a copy in your packet so you have them. And then next is what we want to do next. And because Garibaldi got moved into April, we wanted to include them in this rack card. So this is Garibaldi Fest through the end of June. And so we've printed front and back. And this is the first any of you are seeing this. So we would like to invite them to get approval on this, or maybe tomorrow or something. It's in here. Lots of things are happening. And we can't put everything on this, but we put the things that we think are going to attract the most people. All right? And all of the Friday Night Live schedule is on here, because all Friday Night Live happens in May and June, except, here, okay.
Yeah.
Do that. Okay. Very good. Next, on the inside of your agenda, on page 2, you'll be social media, and we're not trying to look at social media. We're going to be doing that for Garibaldi Festival and for Friday Night Live. This is the paid social media, where we do get on Charlotte Agenda, Charlotte 5, Charlotte Stories, and then we boost our search engine marketing. So our budget has 2 in through June 30th. So we'll be doing for those 2 Garibaldi Festival and Friday Night Live. Boosting those. All right, next our website. So we've been working to keep the website updated. We did have a glitch with
WordPress. WordPress updated to what they consider a more intuitive, visual back end, and for us word folk, it's not quite as intuitive. So we required a little bit of extra training and so on, and it glitched on the headers and so on too.
Yeah, they actually, when they switched over, it actually picked up some of the old content,
Right.
took out the new content. So, but it's all replaced and we've gotten on it, so it's all good, but we
I was
were not
gonna
expecting that.
mention to you, White's Restaurant's not closing.
It's not?
No, that's a rumor. It's false.
Oh, okay, we'll put it back on.
They closed on Mondays.
Oh,
So Carol had a health issue a couple months ago, and they just decided to slow down and close on Mondays. They're still open, but Miss Waite told me last week that asked me if I heard they were closing, and I said no. She's like, well, it's a rumor. We're not. So might be.
That rumor made it to us.
That's a little scary. Seeing this year, we should probably verify on some of these things. But I don't know if there's anything we can do to kind of help, twist it the other way. I mean, if you run a restaurant,
Have
so
social media presence.
yeah, and really the people that go there know they're not closing. But I hate. I mean, that's a tough thing to have when you're a business.
Yeah.
To have people think you're closing. But,
okay, thank you.
but yeah, they're open and staying open as far as I know.
Okay, because we've heard that from numerous sources, so the rumor is out there, so.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get that back on as soon as possible.
Did anybody call White's to check or verify?
We called and there was no answer, so it could have been Monday now that we're talking about it. But yeah, we do verify. Okay, thank you, Ryan. So we've updated about Friday Night Live. We put streaming on the spring spotlight for places to eat because they're patio. And we've added the Lodge, Ray Nathan's, and Variety. We will put whites back on.
Yes.
We went ahead and removed Tim Catawba and Bar 10. I think they're going to be open through the end of May and then closing down with the new tap house coming in. And Life Gallery is closed. Any questions about that, or anybody else know anything that might be happening that you don't know?
Has the Little Yellow House opened up?
No, they're taking their time on that. No, it hasn't.
Pearly Seals?
Yeah.
We have a direct vantage point. Watch
Yeah,
what they're doing.
I don't go back there much, but just trying to think if anything else was opening up.
A lot's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So Belmont Bride, last year we were talking about sending out the Belmont Bride's release, and we did send out January and follow-up in February to a pretty big media list. For the most part, everybody said this is advertising. And that was the response we got. We didn't get anything up. Even locally, we were told it's advertising, unfortunately. So we've been shooting around some strategies and ideas to make it worthwhile and send it out again. And a lot of our ideas center around trying to find a local Belmont bride who will be using vendors and follow her and her story and trying to turn it into a news and narrative piece to make it more worthwhile and try and talk about who was really here and her story and what she'll be doing and try and center it on that way. They probably have more of a local angle, of course, to it than national interest and so on, but if we can find a great Belmont bride, put out a call to action, find a great Belmont bride who is using a lot of, if not all, Belmont vendors, that might be an interesting way to approach it again in the future. There was one, and we just didn't capture her in time in order to do this. She works at Nelly's. She just recently got married and used a bunch of, yes, Jackie. And she sent us stuff after the fact and told us all about it and told us she was getting married a couple weeks beforehand, but it just didn't work out in time. So
I'd be happy to provide some names for you that are getting married at, they're staying with us and they're getting married at Daniel Stowe.
yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. And so that was the next strategy we thought about approaching to try and capture some media attention and make it something awesome and bring attention to Belmont brides, vendors, and why this is a great place to be getting married. So then some other long-term strategies we're just in the beginning stages of talking about, but that was our next one.
Yeah, so if we can kind of follow them through the process, that would be so great.
Right.
Instead of reporting it after the fact. I mean, that's fine too, but it'd be good to,
Or just trying to tell people, oh, that's cool, here's why.
You need a really strange one, just a really weird one. I don't know what that is, but just something that's different, not your typical wedding. Something that's culturally different, or I don't know. And I'm trying to think of one that we might have, but I can't.
Jody Huffman would be a good contact for that too.
Right.
He'd be short.
Luckily, she's very nearby.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay.
Carrie Roberts, see if she's doing something unusual for any of her clients.
So,
have you flown in the past 2 months? Taking an airline? It's different.
oh, you go ahead.
Okay. We got Belmont covered in an American Way.
Oh, that's
It's
awesome.
on off flights. Did you see it already?
I didn't, my brother told me about it.
Yeah, so it's on page 52. It's a story about Charlotte, but Ramona Holloway is featured in there. And so, it's page 52. And so she talks about Belmont and living here and some of the really great places. So she, it's just a little sidebar, but we are happy to have it because this is huge circulation. And so, she mentions the garden, Catawba River Antique Mall, String Bean, Peace and Harmony, Nelly's, Mugshots, and Happy Dog. So, some of her favorite places. But you see it's right here.
That's great.
It's cool, isn't it?
I read these things all the time when I fly.
Yeah, so anyway, so you don't have to fly and here's your.
Yeah, that's,
So
I
how
know who the
about
best doctors in America are.
Yeah, we've been working with Tracy Montrose, at American Airlines. And so, and telling her about Belmont and everything, and I think she made
latched
some
on.
calls and made it happen. So, because Tracy, we work with Tracy a lot with the airport, and so we're always talking about Belmont and, she's got some connections. Okay, you can talk about the rest of the.
Your packet has all of the coverage for the last couple months, but we just put a couple of them in this agenda. The Business North Carolina feature, which was just a couple of days after the new year. Great highlights about Belmont and everything it has to offer. We have actually thrown everything we can at Business North Carolina for years now, so it was great. Here's how great Belmont is. Here's features, holiday lights, talking about other venues here, talking about different businesses that we work with. So it was actually great that they picked up on something. We actually work with Wilbur Plastics, and they actually picked up on Wilbur Plastic Services in the article as well. So it was wonderful to see so many great things about Belmont mentioned in the article. Although we would love to take credit for it, we can't. Mick Jonas's wedding over here at Nellie's. It did bring great attention to Nellie's and Belmont. I'm sure everybody saw how the wonderful coverage across, e-news and all of those wonderful things. Like I said, we'd love to say that was us, but it did bring great attention to Belmont that we can't really pass over, that we can't say it wasn't bringing a good spotlight on here.
And it helps that they've had the #1 song, the Jonas Brothers.
For a while.
Yeah.
They're touring a bunch of great places. They went to Penn State. That
Oh,
was
wow.
cool. Have any hand in that. Our state, 25 places to retire, relocate, and relax. So that was great that they mentioned Belmont as well. We're always trying to have our state talk about us, so it's wonderful to see them paying attention to Belmont. And then the garden, you can't pass up on your architectural digest feature. That was great in the garden as well.
Yeah, so please sign that.
Yes, absolutely. Congratulations to the garden.
Thanks.
That was great.
Once I straightened it out. Once I straightened it out. So they screwed up the story. They included a Japanese garden as part of that story, and we don't have a Japanese garden. And so I had to get in touch with the editors before I was able to capitalize on it on social media. And
Right.
we put it on Facebook, and it reached a whole lot of people. So thank you and you for your help in extending that reach. So it reached 30,000 people. So
Awesome.
it's been great.
Great.
Just the post on Facebook. So.
It's on Instagram everywhere that day as well.
Yeah.
It was in everybody's stories. That was
Yeah.
really-
Yeah.
Those are two really big national, exposures to architectural digest.
So it was a good couple months for Belmont, so that's awesome. I'll jump right into social media. So it's been busy. And we have 4 months to look at. So Facebook activity, likes and reach, you'll see that Christmas time was pretty big, but then you get into March and the reach is at 22,000. And that has a lot to do with that Peace and Harmony contest. The reach became huge at the end of the month because of that contest. Linking to Yelp and all of that is certainly helpful, and the more we can do that and bring in new people to see Belmont is great. Also, if you notice, by the end of March, page likes they jumped off 100, like we had said, and then because the contest ran into April, we'll probably see even bigger numbers when we present next time as well, because of that. And then you get into the next page of your binder agenda. Twitter activity, it hit a peak in January. At Christmas time, moving into January, people are paying attention to Belmont, so that is awesome. BTA Instagram and reach and impressions, they stay pretty steady on our Instagram page. We're posting regularly, people are paying attention regularly, and we're sharing things among a lot of the different Belmont pages. If you ever go on there, BTA is one of several pages that are geared toward Belmont with a lot of great pictures. And so because we're all linking to each other, the activity stays pretty steady on the Instagram page. Our Brides activity is a lot lower than the regular Belmont page, but we're still building momentum because it's still a very new page. It's still only about a year old. It's a baby in comparison to the rest of our social media. So we're still working on that and building it slowly.
Next is keyword search. So this is the page I'm gonna talk about for a minute, because we're seeing a new trend that I'm gonna get to now. This is keyword search. So just so we get to you, this is what people type in to come to our website. Okay? And so in the past, at the top, there are two different categories. The one on the left is searched by number of impressions. So that's how many people actually saw our ad. And then even more important than that is clicks. How many people click to come to the website by searching this word. So we always break it out and highlight. So the yellow shows the Hampton, things that would apply to the Hampton. So Hampton had 996 impressions and 121 people clicked on it. So to find out, more about the Hampton. And then also Hotels Belmont and 789 impressions with 96 clicks. Okay. And then so the total of that is 217 clicks that the Hampton or information about the hotel shows up. Then in green is where we sort the things related to Daniel Stowe. And so the total clicks for Daniel Stowe are 296. And then anything related to Nellie's or Jonas is highlighted in the peach color, and that's 125. But what we noticed in here is there's a trend now where we're showing up more in weddings. So I think this is really showing the result of some of the work that we've been doing. So we just bolded the words that have weddings. So if you look, there's wedding venue Belmont NC. Right underneath that is weddings Belmont on the second line. And then a little further down is weddings at Daniel Stowe. And so in January, we had 465 clicks regarding weddings. That's our number one right now, which is really interesting. And then in February, if you look down, the wedding clicks are 448 down here in this total. And March, the weddings clicks are 467. So those are really strong. We went back and looked, and September wedding-related things were 340, October was 432, November dropped back down to 211, and then December was lower than that. But this year, it's like the weddings are being clicked a lot.
Can you go back and look at the same period, first quarter last year, and compare it that way?
Yeah, we certainly
I would
can.
suggest you do that. We are up, not a lot, maybe 10-12% or something like that, first quarter this year compared to first quarter last year.
Right.
So,
Okay, we'll do that comparison, but we go back a little ways and it's up, so that was pretty interesting new trend. Okay, we'll check.
When that, I see breweries in here. When that new brewery opens up, that'll be 3 that we'll have, that you can almost bike or walk to all 3 of them, kind of in a circle. But and if I go to Riverman and I sit at the bar, almost all the people at the bar that I meet there have landed at the Charlotte airport and have Googled closest brewery,
Yeah,
and that's Belmont for the Charlotte airport. So there might be some opportunities when the new one opens up to kind of promote that.
yeah, I think that would
I
be.
mean, if there's 3 of them, that makes it more of a destination versus just 1 or
Right.
2. And so
That's right.
that might be kind of a fun thing to do. And then are these dates and stuff on the website as well?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, they are. So there are 2 different things. One, you can get the quick calendar of the whole year, and then there's also one that looks more like this wrap card with more of the graphics.
I just saw things to do, like events this weekend and stuff. I just want to make sure that stuff's on there.
It's on.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
Okay, great. And then with our search engine marketing, campaign, the thing that is really interesting here are the number of visitors. So that's the most important thing. Impressions are good, but we want visitors. And so if you look here at the search engine marketing, December, January, February, and March, last year our average, and every year we've gone up. So last year our average number of visitors was 1,412, and this year we're trending up. So we're getting more efficient in Google's getting more efficient in reaching people better. You see our click-through rate is up. Last year it was 5.3, and now it's between 11.9 and 14.9. But our number of visitors is up from 1,412 of last year to 1,846, 1,638, 1,700. Okay? So we're getting more people purchasing more efficiently. And then on the back of your page is our weddings marketing. And so this has a smaller budget, but last year our average number of visitors was 197. And in these 4 months, we've ranged from 198 to 233. So those are up too. And then that's on Facebook and on Google. Average last year was 172, and now we're ranging from 166 to 199. So the trend is up on those two. So I think that's what's helping, that's with the keyword search and everything, all of this is kind of reflected that weddings are becoming more popular thing to search. Okay?
Great.
Any questions or anything?
I
Great.
don't.
Thank you
It's
so
like
much.
it's working.
Yeah. Looks like we're headed in the right direction. So we'll move on to the financial report, and you have revenue expenses in your packet. Anything unusual in the expenses, Shelley?
I'm exploring, going through the costs. I saw that we were charged twice in this fiscal year for auditing services of $3,000. So I'm just exploring that with the finance director here, just to get more information on that. Other than that, everything is pretty straightforward. I did follow up with the brochure services, and I finally sent them a letter because none of the email addresses on the invoices, the phone numbers, they were all disconnected, or they bounced back into the information you sent me. I was not able to connect by phone or email. I checked on the website. Their old website address goes to some new companies. I don't know if they were bought out. So I just sent their cashing checks. So we know that the mailing address is getting to someone. So I sent a formal letter, and I let the finance director know that we won't be paying any more invoices. So waiting to hear back. I still haven't received any calls or acknowledgements.
Okay.
We'll see if they send a bill.
All right, so I had a couple questions, just kind of leading up to before we have to do our budget. One is, and I mentioned this to you before the meeting, I would like to know how much revenue comes from the older hotels down on Wilkinson Boulevard. Number two, get some sort of timeline as far as the new hotel being built.
Okay.
And then three, I guess, for Ann, how much of your business was coming from 10 Catawba? Because that's different than just a restaurant closing. That was a wedding venue. Do you think that's going to impact our budget a lot next year? Or have you guys considered that or looked at it? Or I know you're new, but do you have any thoughts?
I don't think that it's going to affect us greatly
Okay,
at all, if any.
okay.
Most of your wedding business comes from the garden, right?
Most of our wedding business comes from Sea Park.
Come from Sea Park.
What's C part?
I would say, it's a venue in Gastonia.
Oh,
And then I would say that second is the garden.
It's still be a venue though, right?
It will be.
Yes, they'll
Is it?
still
It's
have,
really two.
Yeah.
they'll still, it's a restaurant, brewery, and they still,
where's all that gonna fit?
That's what I
well,
keep
they're
wondering.
exploring that. Well, they also own some of the suites where AR is located on the backside of the alley.
That's right, okay.
So there is space there, and they've indicated that they will still have like events, and they have unique things. It's a steampunk themed restaurant, and they were showing us pictures, the owners were showing us pictures where they had like a steampunk fashion show, and they just host a lot of unique events. So it probably won't be as big as Tenkataba as far as holding events that large, but they plan on doing an outside in the grass area, make that more like a patio, and the fire pit sort of in the center and so forth. So they have some unique plans.
And I think Phil, we sponsored a table at that fashion show, you guys remember? I think Phil took the new owners right before they bought Tenkataba
Yes,
to the
they were
event.
there.
So he was able to bring them to that event, so
And that was a great event, that fashion show
it
at
was
Tenkataba.
packed. I had an event in the wine room at Nelly's that night.
Oh, okay.
And it was, the whole town was just popping. And half of my crowd was from Charlotte, and they were like, what is going on in Belmont tonight?
Good deal.
And all the women all dressed up, just walking down the streets because they were all going to the fashion show. It was it was cool.
I was curious how Jekyll and Hyde's going to increase parking.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Stepping
Well-
from 4 spaces to 5. I mean,
Yeah, they'll be utilizing the public lots other than just the parking in front of their space. There's no other additional space for them.
That's what I thought.
So they will be depending on on-street parking, just as the event space does, on-street parking and the use of the public parking lot.
I'm part of brewery groups online, and the buzz around this is pretty high, especially because the other Jekyll and Hyde does not have a brewery. They're a
Right.
gastropub, and so this one having its own brewery is actually causing a lot of buzz among the people who jump from town to town to visit breweries.
And I'm sorry, Ryan, can we go back? You did 1, 2, 3, so I have information on the revenue
Old hotels,
breakdown.
revenue, a timeline for the new
Timeline.
hotel, and then she answered my third question.
Okay, good.
But the timeline of the hotel is not next fiscal year, not July 1 through June 30th of next year. I think it's after that, right? And the reason I ask is I'll develop for the board's review for our next meeting a budget, a draft of the budget.
It's
That-
not
that-
going to be built the next year?
Well, they started.
Maybe, I think.
It'll be
is-
open.
That's slow
what?
for something like
I
that.
wouldn't think it would be open.
You think it will be
I
open?
wouldn't think it would be open in the
Okay.
next year, no. It'd take longer than that to build it.
So yeah, I will be developing a draft of the budget for the board's consideration at the next meeting. It needs to be approved by our June meeting. So the board could approve it when I present it in May, or you can give me input. I'll go back and present it for approval in June. So, but I'll base it off of this revenue. And did you give me this, Shelley?
Yes.
So this has the additional revenue collections for February. In your package, you have through January. I think if I'm looking like that, yeah. And then February's collections were 8423.94. So, and are you still trending up? I don't have
We
last
are.
year's numbers. You're still up, I guess 10% or something like that.
We are.
Is what it sounds like. So I would fully expect that we would have revenue to cover our expenses for this fiscal year. what it appears like now, because we're at $70,000 now, and we spent $80,000. So, with most of our major expenditures done, it's just going to be monthly expenditures moving forward. So before I do a draft of the budget, did the board have any input? Things that you'd like to see? We're headed in the right direction. Want to consider some new avenues? I think I have a pretty good sense of the direction the board wants to head, so I'm prepared to just present a draft at our next meeting. Okay.
Well, how do we look at our vendors? How do we select those and review those? Is there a criteria that must be met? Do we look at?
We can determine that.
Okay.
I don't think we're subject to rules that the city may be subject to, like you have to get 3 bids and that kind of thing. So we can determine those procedures. So really, at this point, the only vendor we really have now is the Lyerly agency, since we're letting the brochure vendor go. We really don't use anybody else on a consistent basis. So, but if you have thoughts, I can take those now, or you can send me an email.
No, I would just say with any vendor in moving forward, I normally work with the 3 process of, looking at different organizations and what we do, what they do, and as it compares to others.
Comparing marketing agencies, for example. Okay, so for this year, we've already signed a contract with the Lyerly agency through next fiscal year. Okay, we did to get them on a fiscal year with us, we did an 17th-month contract or something like that, 19-month contract, I don't remember what it was, to get them on a fiscal year schedule. So we've already contracted for them next year, but if that's something the board wanted to do for the following year, we can certainly take a look at doing that. So, and we had some discussion, and I think
and it runs $4,500 a month. Is that right?
But that includes, that's not just payments for their services, that's also the advertising dollars that are paid through the Lyerly agency.
Through that amount. I see.
So we're not just paying them $4,500.
That's not the whole time, it's for a lot of expenses.
Right.
And
Okay.
And I'll try to make that clear on the budget.
How much cash do we have, like, not operating budget, but like cash in the bank?
Fund balance.
Fund balance, good word.
The fund balance, I don't know that off the top of my head, but I'll get that from a finance. I'm trying to,
It's
we have quite a bit.
$80,000. It was more than we thought.
Right.
I thought we were down close to 60, but I think it's close to $80,000 at this point.
I'll check on that and email that out to the membership.
Are we required to maintain any level of fund balance, or is that all spendable, disposable cash?
It is. We're not required to. We don't have any employees, no, we're not required to do that.
Probably good to have a couple months of your budget on file, but other than that, I think money's there to spend for this organization. Okay.
The law stipulates we need to spend 2/3 of that on promotion of tourism activities in Belmont. The other third can be spent on tourism-related items. So it could be an event or a brick and mortar sort of thing. If we were a big tourism authority, we can build a convention center with that money if we wanted to. As long as it didn't exceed 1/3.
I'm not sure how all the timing's gonna play out with the new hotel and this year's budget and the cash balance, but I'm very interested in this group supporting the multi-use facility that would house the trolley. And I think that is tied to tourism, as directly as we can tie anything to tourism. So I'd be interested, and I don't know what the number is because I don't think the trolley group knows what their number is, but if we could get a hold of that number, I'm interested from the city doing this. I'm also interested from this one. I think this is something everybody's got to throw in to make it happen. And so I'd like you to think about that a little bit as you're putting your budget together. I don't know if anybody else has any hard dollar projects they want to do next year. But
Well, I mean, it's kind of fluid. I mean, when they arise, we can evaluate them as they come up. But I would like us to look at the trolley, but I'd like us to look at it after it's presented to the city and see what the city's stance is on it, because we don't know what the number's gonna be.
So would the city have to approve some number in its fiscal year budget, or?
Yeah, I think it'll
Land.
come up,
Well, the land belongs to the rail division, DOT, so it will always be their land. We're just gonna
Rent it for $1 a year, or something, lease the
Yeah,
land?
the lease
about a
is
year
is
for
is
50
negligible.
years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
something
the
like
hard
that.
cash is going to support the structure.
Well, that will create a new wedding venue.
it's gonna be, I think,
It's gonna be-
3,600 square feet. It could be used for weddings, other events. Cool place to get married if there's a trolley in town. I can see wedding pictures on it, all that stuff. I'm open to all ideas. That one's a good one. So unless other people are bringing good ideas like that, I mean, that's the one up here for me. That's how, you know how I do it. Bring the ideas, give me something to vote on.
I mean, you're also trying to create that signature event. So, I mean, I would suppose that you will be, the signature event will be approaching us for some signature dollars.
So, yeah, as I proposed it, the Belmont Blooms would we'd be in the middle of it right now, this time next year.
Yeah.
So,
Where is that? I'm glad you brought that up.
where's in the
The
plan?
Belmont Blooms, uh-huh.
So, you know, I met with the city probably 6 or 8 weeks ago, and the city staff was very supportive of it. Malia and I did some presentations at some meetings that Phil Bogan had with the downtown merchants. Got a couple of those folks involved, trying to get some contact information from Phil, because there's somebody that's interested in doing a home tour, home and garden tour. You know, the city is interested in working with the garden and coordinating this early spring blooms that we're developing. And then there's been some other people that have been involved in the possibility of kind of a grassroots parade during that time period. And part of the strategy with moving Garibaldi Fest was maybe to get it down to be included as part of Belmont Blooms next year in that same time frame. And then I'll work with my team at the Garden to develop a series of events that would happen every weekend during the course of that period. And I don't
Is it
remember
March,
exactly what
April?
it would be. I think I said the third Sunday or the third Friday in March to or the fourth Friday in March until the third Sunday in April or something like that is kind of what I targeted. It's when things bloom, you know, and it gets us to this time period where azaleas are blooming. You know, it starts out with daffodils and tulips and those sorts of things, and then
Just get rain insurance.
get rain insurance. Yeah.
Get rain insurance for this.
So,
Saw those red tulips come up this year. I thought that Jim was on top of things this last
Yeah.
fall, right?
You know, if we're gonna launch an event that everybody agrees on and we're real serious about it, you know, I got a good buddy who's done a lot of promotions. He's got some baseball teams and stuff, and he always says you're better off, whatever your 3-year marketing budget is, you're better off taking those 3 years and just spending it all in the first year up front.
Yeah.
Because that'll make it a real event, and then you'll get the money back to keep going. But if you spread it out, you're just chipping at it.
Yeah.
So if that would be maybe a good launch pad, is some of this fund balance outside of our operating expenses to kick it off and kind of get things going.
and maybe,
I'd be supportive of that.
and
That's
maybe-
going to be successful.
and maybe for the trolley too. So,
Yeah.
especially considering that the following fiscal year, we will have another hotel open,
Yeah.
and we will have additional events.
And excuse me for my ignorance in this, but would it be all about the blooms at the garden?
No.
Or would the garden take that throughout the city?
So it is through the
And-
city.
okay.
So I gave to the city a cost that you could use to enhance the planters out here, do some additional plantings at the city parks. There was talk about getting the schools, Belmont school, Gaston County schools located in Belmont, involved in doing bulb displays. So it would be a citywide effort. Phil and I are also planning on going to, we have somebody with one of the downtown merchants was part of the Alumni Association at Belmont Abbey. We're going to try to get Belmont Abbey involved, Holy Angels involved, maybe the art gallery up here, maybe to do a show. I don't know what yet. you know, I would hope that somebody maybe would latch on and do a 5K, that kind of thing. So,
I'd like to request, you know, that both of the hotels be involved in
Oh, yeah.
that going forward.
absolutely.
And,
And you are by virtue of being on this board, so.
but
So
for
absolutely.
that, some type of planning to take place
Do
where
you
it
want to be
would.
on, you want to be on the committee? Would love for you to, if you want that kind of involvement,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Yeah,
would love
live
for you to be
music
engaged at any
involved.
level you want to be engaged. So not trying to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Just talk yourself into it.
I did not intend to put you on the spot, so let's talk about it and see.
We just want to make sure that, you know, the properties are represented.
Absolutely.
You know,
You know, and I pulled into the Hampton, you already do a pretty good job.
thank you,
You know,
thank
the
you.
display's
But it would
already
be
a good
nice to
job.
have your expertise in that, you know.
And maybe coordinate.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Jim, the Garibaldi Fest and the Blooming Belmont or whatever it is, when you said they're gonna run sort of concurrently, when I heard that, here's what I don't want one to be absorbed into the other. I'd like them to maintain their separate identities for us to shoot for that, because while Blooming, Belmont, whatever, is good, that's more of a garden thing, but Garibaldi Fest is more of a historical Belmont thing, so I don't know if there were plans in the future to kind of blend the two, but I would not be supportive of that if that is the ultimate goal.
I think that was just one idea,
Okay.
so.
I think the Belmont Rooms will be Belmont.
Yeah,
I think the garden will take a prime role in it, but the goal is to get downtown Belmont, you know, and merchants engrossed.
So I get that, I just want to make sure that the two events maintain their own individual identity, because Garibaldi Fest has a significant history for Belmont, in my opinion.
Can I get live music and somebody serving wine or something?
Yeah.
So when you're walking around looking at all the flowers, there's got to be something else to do or something to sit and
Yeah,
enjoy.
yeah,
so.
you know, so we already have a series of events that occur in the spring. I would just make sure that we have an event occurring every weekend, and that may be a concert. And we talked about doing, you know, the possibility of doing a concert in the park during that period. I think there's a piece of public art that's being proposed that we may include during this time period. So there was a number of ideas that the city had. I'm probably, and you plant these bulbs in October, November for them to emerge in the spring. I'm probably going to do a bulb sale at the store to kind of promote this, and may try to work with some other organizations to do that as well. You know, you can order your bulbs anywhere downtown, and we get them together, and you go pick them up at, you know, whatever retailers want to participate. So,
I'm glad you mentioned that. It's the right time now to be telling, keep Belmont beautiful, the Historical Society, people who own property around downtown, you know, need to be planning for this fall to plant bulbs.
And was
get the
hoping to
property ready.
get an invitation to the Rotary Club, and maybe come share this with them.
You got
Maybe
it.
get Phil or
Let
something.
me check when my next program is due.
Maybe get Phil to go door to door because
We're trying to go on tour, we're just trying to work out our schedules. Yeah,
I wouldn't know the first thing about planting flowers in front of my office.
we can help you.
So you'd educate me and plus everybody else, and I even know what's going on.
Right.
So you got to educate people on what's going on, and then you got to make it easy for everybody. I
Absolutely.
think. So,
Absolutely.
all right.
So just real quick, I forwarded a couple of emails from our finance director regarding some of the questions, and our current fund balance is $64,898 with some change, and she forwarded the breakdown of January's. The hotel's reported rooms rented, for February's tax collected in March as follows. Abbey Inn, 524. Airbnb, it appears only one. American Motel, 76. Hampton Inn, 1825. And Heritage Inn, 624. So it'd be interesting to get her peak holiday season or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, when's the peak
18.
for?
That doesn't add up to 7,000.
That's for March.
This is, it says.
This is February tax collected in
Hotel
March.
reported rooms rented for February, tax collected in March. So it would have been February tax collected.
So you had a 500, a 600, and a 1825, essentially?
And a 76 and a 1. And it came to 3,050.
That's-
The reported rooms.
That doesn't seem right, does it?
Doesn't seem like enough. But I don't,
Yeah.
I don't have anything to compare it to. So,
Okay. Well, that would imply that, 40% of everything's coming from these other hotels, which I don't think is the case. So, I don't know. The numbers don't add up to me. That's only about $3,000,
30, 50.
and we're getting about 8,000 a month, aren't we? There's something missing.
Okay.
That's all right. You can check on it. Let me know.
Okay, will do.
Any other business, any other?
I was gonna say, or maybe let all of us know at the next meeting. Because that is an oddity.
Yeah, this makes sense. I just,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah, I don't know, how
Follow up.
is February,
I don't know the answer, but that's not it.
is February, or is February half of
It can't.
January?
No.
That doesn't add up. We got too many people flying out of that hotel. It's not just weddings. Okay. Yeah, let's just figure that out.
Any other business? Okay.
Jim, I'd just like to say a word of thanks to the Lyerly agency for helping me get that banner ad that you approved at the last meeting.
Looked great.
It's up and running on the homepage of the website. Hope you've seen it.
I did.
Hope you clicked on it a few times. It does work. I check it every day to make sure. And the Lyerly agency contributed that to the chamber, the design work for that, because that's beyond my capability. And the other thing I wanted to mention, I heard just this morning from Andrea that Carrie East was due to have a baby this week. Andrea thought she
You sure already
probably
had it.
has she? So
But I don't, you don't have any
congratulations to
details.
Carrie.
I don't. I can look on Facebook.
It's
I just thought we all knew
I've
that.
had 10
person.
friends have babies in the last week and a half. It's unbelievable. And it's not just Belmont, it's all over.
There's nothing in the water.
Nothing in the water, I'll show you, watch out.
There was a big power outage about 9 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe she,
That makes
I thought she had it. I thought I heard she had it.
I think that's kind of what Andrea said.
Yeah, I probably heard,
wasn't sure either, but
Andrea
I thought
probably
I
mentioned it, and
mentioned
that's where I took it from. Yeah, I don't see any pictures on Facebook, and that's not Facebook official, it hasn't happened yet.
That's right, if it's not on the internet.
It hasn't happened.
Thing.
Well, good.
That's all
No
I
other
got.
business for me.
All right,
Motion to adjourn.
we don't need it, we can just adjourn.
All right, good meeting.
Oh, we didn't do that.
Sorry.
Garbage can.
I'll give them to Adrian.
Great to see you, Ann.
It's good to see you. Thank you so much.
Anybody looking for a place for lunch? Wilcox Realty Group over on South New Hope Road will have some food between 12 and 1 o'clock. Because we're heading over there to cut a ribbon for those guys. Hopefully there was an email that went out about the time I got here. That's what kept me late.
Are you coming over here to volunteer?
Over there, kick it.
Shelley, you got time for a quick question?
Sure. And know that we are, that we're transportation to
Your what grant?
complimentary.
Awesome grant. Oh,
Don't
yeah,
do
awesome
that.
grant.
So,
Yeah,
Either because
yeah, that's what we do. We got a grant in
I would
West End,
suggest-
and we literally was running running over
Amy
there
is
to
trying to
make
set
the
up
445
vendors,
FedEx
meetings
for
with all our
overnight.
preferred vendors.
We really need it
I also have a new
for
part-time
another-
person
this
now
is another project.
doing a
Yeah,
lot
not
of
this
weekend
grant.
sales. So,
Yeah.
Kayla is her name. So I would suggest you try to reach out to Amy and have them.
can't upload the
That's what I would
documents.
suggest, because I don't think they are doing that.
So there's nothing there that says that.
We build a link for them.
Okay,
Let
let me,
Oh,
We can
okay. I didn't know that, so yeah.
so let me check with
Make the
Amy.
Daniel start.